Hey guys, it's Dennis here with Revog Games, and I'm joined by
Joshua Weyers, all the way in South Africa.
yes, and this is a rare Saturday that we're doing this podcast. We tried doing it the other few days, but we had some technical difficulties. But we're back.
Yeah,
We're back to talk about all the latest in gaming news. Some Hogwarts Legacy news, some Halo TV series news, some Elden Ring news, some Microsoft Studio news, a bunch of cool stuff. So let's start with the big thing. I'm kind of glad that we ended up not shooting when we had planned because this hadn't dropped yet. But
yeah,
at PlayStation State of Play, they revealed like 14 minutes of Hogwarts Legacy gameplay plus another like 4 or 5 minute like
about 5 minutes.
behind
Yeah,
the scenes talking about this Harry Potter, you know, RPG open world action adventure game, whatever. This is a game that's been kind of rumored for a long time. And then it kind of finally got announced. Was it last year or the year before? I can't remember. I'm like with COVID, I'm trying to can't remember
I
the
was gonna say
years.
time is a figment of my imagination at this point. It feels like it was at least a year and a half ago. That's what
Yeah.
it feels like, but I could be wrong. I don't
Yeah.
know.
But now we're finally getting some we had seen like a little trailer before announcement,
Mm.
and now we kind of got the whole scope of what the game's gonna be.
Yeah,
And you said you're pretty excited about this.
I am. Here's the thing. It's funny that this came out because about a week ago, me and a friend and my girlfriend, we were talking about this because I told her about it because she didn't know about this game. Like she didn't know about the announcement. So I showed her that. She
Hmm.
got excited about it. And then I was like, you know what? It's been a while. I Googled it and I was like, I haven't heard anything about thing from it like for a while. And then boom, this drops out of nowhere. So I was excited about that. I got duped with like a fake trailer a week ago,
What?
which is yeah, because I saw like a fake trailer. I was like, there was like a 30-minute gameplay trailer. I was like, what? There's 30 minutes of gameplay? How are not people not talking about this? Well, someone like somehow I think someone got like a hand of like the old Harry Potter games and then like
Oh.
up the resolution on like old
Uh.
PlayStation 2 games or something and like because I was watching it halfway through I was like this looks terrible. I was like this anyways when the trailer dropped I was excited. Granted I will say, like, I loved pretty much all of what I saw. I have one gripe, which is some of the animations don't look too good.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say that they don't look good. It feels like they're like lagging behind a bit. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? The lip syncing seems like an issue as well.
Mhm.
But other than that, I
So it's like
mean, like,
Elden Ring, or at least on the PC,
yeah.
Elden Ring.
So true, yeah. It's I like the story though. I think it's smart as well because I didn't know that it was set in the late 1800s,
Uh-huh.
which is smart. It gives you free reign
Yep.
essentially. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to cross into like Harry Potter territory. It gives you free reign. It also means magic is more accessible because like they showed off these hamlets and these little areas that you can go to, these little towns and these little like magic kiosks that obviously wouldn't exist in today's like time because people can just take a photo or whatever. But in the late 1800s, it's like I feel like they can be more free with their magic. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like which I like about that. Getting around on a broom looks fun. You like it looks like I don't know if it's a giant open world game per se, but it looks like it at least has big open world areas. If it isn't one giant open world map, which I hope it is, that would be amazing. It's definitely
Yeah,
possible.
I think so. I think it's going to be a open world type of game. At least, obviously there's going to be like, oh, if you go to certain sections, your loading screens. I mean, even Elden Ring has that.
Yeah,
I
but for the
forgot.
most part, I think
I
I
don't know
hope
if
it'll
I
be
asked
open.
you this before, and maybe I just don't remember. Like, okay, for me, like Harry Potter, I never read any of the books. I enjoyed the movies. The first two for me were a little too kiddish and a little boring, to be honest. But once the
Yeah,
third one kicked in, I really enjoyed the series. However, I'm not a hardcore fan. I'm not a diehard. I've never been, even though I live like very close by to the Universal Studios and the whatever the Harry Potter world or whatever Hogwarts or whatever over there. I'm just not that kind of fan for Harry Potter. I
yeah.
enjoy the franchise.
Well, I mean, you
I didn't
weren't a
care. I
kid.
didn't care for the Fantastic Beasts
Yeah, you weren't a
either.
kid though. Like it's very different.
Okay.
Like that was the biggest thing because it's
Mhm.
like being the same age as those kids when the movies were out, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. Like it was a big thing for kids. I I don't like if I watched that movie if I watched those movies when I was younger or older, I don't think I'd like them because they like progressively aged with the kids that
Mm-hmm.
watched them that aged. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry, my phone's going off.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I loved Harry Potter. I read the first two books. I
Mm-hmm.
stopped reading the books because the movies were coming out steady at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I got like into the books pretty late. And then I was like, I'm not going to read the books if I can just watch the movie. I was that kid. I'm not going to lie.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely loved Harry Potter. I mean, and a lot of people did, but it was just because like being the same age as those kids on screen, essentially, it's that's like the part that makes you be like, oh, I could be there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So you get way more into it. So a game like this is something that I would have loved if I years ago. I'm gonna enjoy the game.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it comes out this year is also very impressive. I mean, maybe there's gonna be
Yes,
delays. Who
that's
knows?
something that also was announced, that not an actual release date, but a release window, holiday 2022. So we're assuming November, December of this year, which
Mm.
is sooner than both you and me thought. You know, with
Yeah, I thought mid
nothing.
next year maybe.
Yeah, I thought so as well. I thought maybe like July, August of
Yeah,
even maybe September of next year. But
I
see,
I love the Harry Potter games growing up as well. Like the first Harry Potter game that came out on PC, I absolutely love that game. Like there was something to it that was like just so whimsical that I really enjoyed. I like the first two, maybe three Harry Potter games I really enjoyed. After that, they kind of got pretty bad,
I
but
think
I
I
really
only played
enjoyed
the
those.
Lego one. I think I
Yeah,
only
I mean,
played
look,
the
the Lego
first
one
one.
is better than half of
Hmm.
the main series ones, anyways. But the first two had definitely had a lot of charm to it because it's about you learning the magic. You're very much more of a student than going around doing all these crazy things. And the thing I enjoyed most about this 14-15 minutes they showed us was because it has everything that I wanted and more, I'd say, because
Hmm.
I was worried that they were gonna lean too much into Hogwarts and not too much into the wizarding world, but it looks like it's both. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? It's like, yes, you're a student, you're learning all these spells, you're learning this, you're doing potions, you're going around Hogwarts, you're exploring, but then also these big epic moments outside in the world, and there's this huge like mysterious plot going on. And I knew that they were going to do one or the other, but like the fact that they're doing both, I'm so happy about. So you have these like adorable moments where you're petting a cat, and then you have a moment where you're like fighting a troll. It's
Hmm.
I like that. Like it has its high and lows. It has something for everybody. Making your own potions and stuff. I would also like to address. It's already been cleared up, but a lot of people were worried about microtransactions
Hmm.
because when they showed the room of requirement, um, you saw like the guy pick up some herbs and then it
Yeah.
said like 25 minutes, which means it's like that's how long it takes for them to grow back. And because it immediately looks like the kind of thing that would be like, hey, you can pay $2 to get energy to
Hmm.
make it go away, which is cell phone game mechanics. And even I was like, oh, that might be a thing there because just because of the way it was displayed, like it looked very cell phone game. And so I
Hmm.
get people's issues with it. They came out and said there's no microtransactions. You're gonna wait that whole 25 minutes for your next plan, buddy. But it's like that's also something that's not new. It's just younger gamers will immediately think, oh, microtransactions. But waiting as a game mechanic has been around for a while, like in older games too.
Hmm.
Not even that old. I think of a good example is Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Hmm.
That game had a mechanic in it where it's like you have your you have these ships that you can send out on like voyages for like sometimes 12 hours and then you come back to the game the next day and you got a bunch of supplies from those like runs or whatever. So it makes sense as a mechanic. Like I also like it because yes, you're in the wizarding world, but it's like I feel like it'd be dumb if you just get the plant right away. You put the
Hmm.
plant in, you let it grow. You know what I mean? I mean, 25 minutes. I don't think it's that much. I'm sure there's plenty of stuff you can do in the game while you wait for your next potion to brew. You know,
Hmm.
it seems the potions in this game would be used similarly to the way that you use your um, flask of wondrous physic from Elden Ring. I think it's going to be very
I
similar
always
in that sense.
forget that I have it. To be honest with you, I have it, and I just only when I'm like super desperate. I'm like, oh my
That thing
god.
becomes OP if you get the right things in it. That thing becomes OP. That
Oh.
flask of wondrous physic. I love that thing, man.
Well, speaking
Strength
of
boost,
Elden
health
Ring,
boost.
the reason why I brought it up earlier too, and maybe because I'm obsessed with the game right now, we're gonna talk more about it
Same.
later. Is this reminded me of like Elden Ring Light?
Yeah.
It
Actually, you
has
got a
that
good point.
feel to it. The one thing I am a little worried about, even though the game looks great, is that it because it is magic, that everything is ranged combat. I'm much more of a
It
melee
does
combat
seem
type
that
of
way.
person.
I had the
But
same worry. I hope they have a melee spell. That was my because it looks fun. The combat looks great. Let's be honest. Like the combat looks better than what I thought the combat could have possibly
Mm-hmm.
been. You know what I mean? Because especially when people said they were kind of having like a Souls-like approach to
Mm-hmm.
combat, I don't think they mean by difficulty the game's going to be
No.
easy, or like I don't say easy. The game's going to be fun. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But the combat looks great. But I was also thinking like there is like a certain like sense of realism that gets lost where it's like, oh, everyone's just gonna stand 6 feet away from each other. No one's gonna get near each other. We're all just gonna blast spells at each
Mm-hmm.
other. You know what I mean? I was like, realistically, someone's gonna run up to you and just smack you in the face. You know? Um, but yeah, I like the fact that you can combo spells as well. Like the combos they showed off in the video was really sick. You get to play around. Um, yeah, the broom flying looks good. The thing I'm looking most forward to actually is being able to like is having your own area where you can like raise your own mythical beasts and stuff. Like it's a big mechanic in the game, but I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that's my favorite mechanic that I've seen by far. I love adorable things. I love pets and stuff like that. So the fact that you can few animals like you're out in the wild and you see poachers looking for these magical creatures and you can save them,
Mm-hmm.
bring them into your own sanctuary. That's freaking amazing. I love that. I'm all about that. So that was really cool.
Since this is
Um,
Harry Potter, or the Harry Potter's world, I'm assuming because like if you watch the the combat, it's like you're fighting a lot of people, whatever. I'm
mm.
assuming that everyone gets knocked unconscious. Do you know what I'm saying? Like they're
I was
not
gonna
being
the most yeah
they're not being
the most
killed.
hardcore thing I saw in that whole video was these skeleton-like creatures on fire, and I was
Hmm.
like fire was the most like hardcore thing I saw, if that makes sense, because there's not going to be any blood. There's not they're not going to be killing people.
Yeah, there's
Though,
no.
mind you, the spell
I see some.
Avada Kedavra is literally deaths, and they
Okay.
showed that off in the video. So they do kill people technically, because
That's
that's what that
it's
spell
a
does. Is
little a
it
little hardcore
kills
for Harry
people.
Potter. I mean, I know
I
in
mean,
Harry
it
Potter
was in the
there is
movies.
deaths, but they make
It
it a
was
big
in the
deal,
movies.
right? They make it a big deal.
Yeah,
Like Snape
like
dies.
I think you're
Uh,
only going to learn that spell like end game. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
What I mean is
Like,
like
but
you're not running around mass murdering all these people, even if they are bad
no.
guys. Yeah. The reason
Though
I'm
in the later Harry Potter movies, there is a lot of people just killing each other with
yeah.
spells. Just
Yeah.
you know.
The reason I also asked you about your kind of fandom about this is because I'm not like a hardcore Harry Potter fan. Usually a lot of the lore gets lost on me, and I don't really pay attention or
Mm.
remember much of it from the
Fans of the
movies.
books, I think fans of the
Yes.
books will enjoy this game more because they even showed off locations that weren't in the movies, but
Mm-hmm.
they're in the books. So I think like if you, I didn't read all the books. I only read the first two, but people that did read all the books, it seems like they were going to be very well rewarded. You know, with like a lot of Easter eggs.
But I feel
Um,
like I,
yeah,
as someone who isn't that, hardcore into Harry Potter, that I would actually get more out of this because there's like
yeah,
incentive of learning the lore and you're taking your time with it versus in the movies they're just kind of throwing all that information at you
exactly.
and you're like, huh, who, what, and also between all the different movies, it's like I can't remember what happened. Honestly, like, I don't remember certain things that happened in I have a hard time even just keeping track of all the characters, to be honest with you. But I think
Oh, there are a lot. Yeah.
in this type of setting, I think it's gonna incentivize me to learn more
Yeah.
about the whole Hogwarts
Real
world.
quick though, just to set the pace for anybody that may not have seen the video that we're talking about or seen the footage that dropped, a couple of things to base off of is you get to create your own character.
Hmm.
You like you are there. You play a very specific role within the series, similar to Harry Potter himself. Like I think
Yeah.
you are able to access um, ancient magic, so that's your whole shtick. That's like you, but you get to be whoever you want to be, like your own gender,
Hmm.
choose how you want to look like and everything. And then what I like what the game did is because Hogwarts is also well, Harry Potter. The Harry Potter movies were very much about friendship as well, like the like Ron, Harry, and Hermione going off. So they have these companions in the game, which I think is a great thing that they added in. It's not something I would have expected because a lot of games don't do that. You know what I mean? I think
Hmm.
Fallout does great companions. You know,
Yes.
Starfield's going to have great companions. We're going to get into that later. But yeah, so it seems like there's
Mass
three or
Effect.
four.
Mass
Mass
Effect.
Effect 2. It seems like there's three or four. Maybe there's more companions in this, but it seems like they've put a lot of focus and backstory on 3,
Hmm.
and like it looks like pretty deep backstory, and you get to know these other characters, and I like that because it gives you a lot more connection to the story, more connection as to what's going on. Like not just your own vague, oh, there's a lot of mystery around me as a character in this world of Harry Potter. Like like it's the protagonist in like in most games, any kind of adventure game, is always like a lot of mystery and vagueness around your own
Yes.
character because you made it. So I love it when they add like rich like backstory companion characters. Dragon Age, another game that does that great. You know what I mean? And I love it when games do that. Like you get a harder connection to it. I'm so excited to like explore around Hogwarts. I'm excited for like like I said, it's just the game has so many elements I wasn't expecting. I thought they were just going to be like, it's either going to be like a super serious game, or it's going to be one of those games where it's like, hey, you're learning spells, you're doing this, it's fun. But they have all of it, which is what I like. You know what I mean? A little bit for everybody. I'm looking forward to it. It's coming out soon. Hopefully, no delays. Is this a is this PlayStation only?
No. No. They
Thank
just
God.
got to debut it, so it's going to be multi-platform. I believe it's PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. I mean, it's too big a
Okay.
franchise. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
they
it's
need to make
huge, yeah.
money. Like
Yeah,
why
and
would you
it's
limit
not
Harry Potter just to
Portkey.
yeah.
Portkey Studios. I haven't heard of them before, or I don't know. Is this like their first big thing? Let me look that up quick.
Mm-hmm.
Portkey Games. Yeah, or maybe they've done big games I've just never known about. Well, I mean, immediately right off the bat, though, the biggest thing they're known for is Hogwarts Legacy. So it seems like maybe the company was formed just for this. Yeah, they just do Harry Potter type games.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I just love the world that I'm seeing here. It looks like you can explore a lot. You can, like you said, make your own character. You can meet different NPCs. You can
The graphics are here and there. I'll say
yeah,
as well,
I mean,
but it's going to be polished more. Like
and also
like you
to be
see,
honest,
yeah.
like Elden Ring has some of the most beautiful like design, like art design I've ever seen in a video
The
game.
graphics
But the
doesn't matter,
graphics
yeah.
are not as you know what I mean, top
Yeah.
high end. Like it's not like you're talking about like a Horizon Forbidden West or you know what I mean, or like any of the like upper end graphics. That's not what you're
Yeah.
getting out of Elden Ring, and I
Like
don't think
like
you're
the
getting that
graphics
of
don't
Harry
look
Potter.
bad.
They
Yeah.
don't look
The graphics
bad,
don't look
but
bad.
it does the
Yeah.
same things that Elden Ring, like the cloth physics are like a little not as quite as smooth. They're a little
I also think some of the stuff they showed us is still going to be polished.
yeah
Because
yeah
there were some scenes where I was like, that actually looks awful. I hope that's not in the game. But then they show like another in-game scene, and I'm like, wow, that looks so much better. So clearly that's what they're like. That's the actual bar. You know what I mean? Like there were some like scenes well, not scenes I'd say, but there were some parts of that I saw that I was like, okay, this is what they're aiming for the overall polish. Because some of the stuff they showed us wasn't specifically too polished. And like I said, I don't like some of the animations. I don't like it just seems like they drag behind, like when they're walking or moving, like they're just slowly behind. Maybe that was a stream issue though as well, I don't
yeah.
know. Because the combat looked very smooth. Like the combat looked smoother than the combat literally looks smoother than when people are walking around in the game just normally, or like talking to each other.
So
But yeah.
so I mentioned Elden Ring as well because Elden Ring is I haven't finished it yet, and we still need to do like a spoiler review. But who knows when we can do that? Because I'm 60 plus hours into it, and I'm still I think I'm only like maybe 60-70% through the game. But the game is one of the best games I've ever played. It's in my probably in my top 5 games of all time, maybe.
Yeah,
I have to rethink. I have to think about it. But anyways, my point being this: I don't see a game topping that this year. It's highly unlikely. However, looking at this Hogwarts Legacy, do you think it has a chance of being in? It won't win, but being a game of the year contender. Just looking at what you're getting out of it, it looks pretty cool.
It depends how they give the awards, because look, it's like based off of popularity. I do think that Harry Potter is gonna probably end up selling way more.
Yes,
well, maybe not way more, but
I wouldn't say way more, but
it's
gonna sell
a
good
more.
amount.
It's gonna sell like crazy. Like especially if they deliver on what they showed us, it's gonna sell really well. Like after a week, people are gonna see their friends playing it. It's gonna sell really well based off of an actual game. Elden Ring will be a superior game. So, but it just depends on how they do the awards. Because when it comes to the Game Awards, I never know if
But
it's
do you think
based on
Harry Potter even
popularity or if
or
it's based on the
sorry,
actual good game.
Hogwarts Legacy actually has a chance of not winning, obviously, but just getting into the conversation of being a contender?
It'll get nominated just off of.
Because
It'll
like
get
okay,
nominated just because it's Harry Potter. You know.
there's two games we know for sure are going to be nominated at the end of the year.
Mhm.
One is Elden Ring, and two is Horizon Forbidden West. Those two are
Ragnarok
like
isn't Ragnarok coming out this year?
yes, and assuming that
That could be a contender, too.
it's you know at least in the ballpark of the last game, then we're talking about 3 locked in.
Mm,
Starfield may be one that we're
that's
going to talk
true.
about next. So what I'm saying is, does this have a chance of like entering that conversation?
It's just making me think like, what a big year for gaming as well. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like in terms of like big, great games coming out.
Yeah, last year was a little of a slow year. Last year was still a great year for gaming, but it was
Mhm.
definitely in terms of the big AAA titles was a bit slower. I mean, you had Halo Infinite and Forza Horizon 5. I think PlayStation's biggest thing was Returnal. Was that their biggest
I
game
think
last year?
Ratchet and Clank came out like
Okay.
beginning of last year. I
But
could be
like what
wrong.
I'm saying is like compared to this year or the year that had happened before, where you had Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima and Half-Life Alyx, that was like a big year.
And
Last year was a little
Cyberpunk and yeah.
last year was a little bit of a slower year. And then this year is coming back with a vengeance. We already have 2 Game of the Year contenders, and it's
Right off the bat, yeah.
it's like midway through March right now, so it's
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean,
yeah. Overall, I'm excited for Harry Potter. It looks fun. I think that's the biggest takeaway is even if you're not a fan of Harry Potter, they made the game look fun where it's like, hey, if you didn't like the movies, like who cares? Look at how much like mystery and excitement there is here. Like look at all the things you can do.
yeah.
A bit more backstory before we go on for anybody that might care. You start school late, by the way. You start as a 5th year.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't like you're getting into the game late, so you have like grade 1, 2, 3, and 4 to catch up on. So you have classes with people your age, but then you have these like special classes designed just for you to catch up to your classmates. I'm sure in the game they'll explain why you get picked up late. I'm sure it's tied to your mysterious roots of being able to access ancient magic or something. And yeah, they have some familiar characters like nearly headless Nick. Shane, the poor guy, is not accepted by the headless horseman because he's not completely headless. He's nearly headless Nick. You're not going to see the same professors because it's the late 1800s. You know what I mean? I don't know how I mean, technically based off of like the other movies, Dumbledore he's not going to be around because he looked pretty young in like the 40s or 50s or something, you know. And this is like late 1800s. I like the setting. I like the fact that there are little villages you can visit. You know what I mean, like Hogsmeade and stuff like that. And that there's like side quests and stuff. It all looks very exciting. I like the fact that you don't just have to ride a broom because they showed a section where you're riding a griffin. You know what I mean? Like that's pretty cool too. And I'm assuming it's a griffin that you probably raise yourself, which is even cooler.
Yeah. So all in all, I think Hogwarts Legacy made a very good impact, and it's got me more excited. I mean, I already was excited, but I was a little, reserved in terms of.
I was skeptical.
Thinking about
like,
how kiddie are they gonna make it?
But because everything we saw as well from the launch was not in game. You know what I mean? That's why I was skeptical. Everything, because it's like you can give us the greatest cutscenes, but until I'm seeing gameplay. You know what I mean? It could literally be a point and click adventure until we see freaking gameplay, you know?
Yeah.
So I was skeptical and I'm pleasantly surprised. I'd say it actually surpassed my expectations. That's what I would say.
All right, cool. All right, let's move on to the next thing, Starfield, which we had talked about before.
Yeah.
There's some more details, obviously not as huge a reveal as Hogwarts Legacy, but there was some stuff that came out. There was a bunch of concept art that looked cool. The information, there was kind of like a behind the scenes video where they talked about it. I did think that video was a little dramatic, how they were like videotaping, or sorry, they were doing close-up shots of their hands and like
oh my
like
god,
this
I
is like
didn't actually see that.
Okay,
I just saw I just saw them all
serious.
sitting around a table and talking.
Yeah,
like almost like a podcast. I saw like that. It was like a five, but like the way they spoke, I love it as well because the way they were talking about certain things is like they're not saying, "Hey, this is going to be in the game, that's going to be in the game,"
Mm-hmm.
but the way they were talking about certain mechanics, you're like, "Oh, so they're going to do this. Oh, they're going to do that."
Mm-hmm.
I like that, and I hope to see more of these leading up to the game as well. These like, well, I guess this was episode 2 technically, so
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be more episodes in the future. I'm looking forward to that. We know that there's going to be, I think, 3 or 4 main factions? Like there's big factions.
Yeah.
So previous Bethesda games, in the past, Elder Scrolls games was it like you got a bit of backstory. Like I think in like the first Elder Scrolls games, like Arena,
Mm-hmm.
and back then. But ever since then, it was like you choose the most in depth it was is you could choose your like your sun and your moon as like signs, but there was no backstory to your character. You know, you just pick your race or whatever. So it seems like they're going back to their roots in the sense of you can have more of a backstory to your character before you play him. You know, maybe start in a faction. They were hinting at the fact that instead of joining a faction, maybe you can start in a faction. I think.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they spoke about this. They spoke about the pirates, the space pirates. Seems like they're clearly evil, which sucks because space pirates just sound like it. Like I want to be a space pirate. That sounds awesome. And I'm probably going to be one. I'm going to be like, you know what? I guess I'm a villain in this game because I want to be a space pirate. I can already tell it's what's going to happen. But then they said that there's ways where you can work around it, where it's like you can still work with one faction and then kind of be like a double agent or something, or like on the fence with the space pirates. So you can play both sides if you don't want to be full evil or something. Which
Yeah,
is
it looks
what I
like four. There's 4 factions. United Colonies,
factions,
which is kind of the main like Space Republic. There's one called the Freestar Collective, which is kind of like space western people.
Yeah,
that
like
live
a
out on the
Fallout-ish
frontier.
kind of, yeah.
And then you've got Ryojin Industries, which is like the corporate life.
The corporate, yeah.
And then the Crimson Fleet, which is the pirates faction that you're talking about.
Yeah,
which
I love that. Yeah.
Where they said you can join if you want to go the evil route or whatever,
I
or
just
if you
love
want to
that
spy
there's 4
on them.
main factions. Like the fact that there's 4 main factions, it implies there's going to be conflict between them. You know what I mean? There's always going to be like something going on. Like that's what I like about the fact that there's factions, which is not exactly new to Bethesda games. Like most Elder Scrolls games have got factions. Fallout has had factions. You know what I mean? Like the Brotherhood of Steel, for instance, and stuff like that. So I do like that, and they were talking about mechanics and stuff like that. I'm looking forward to it coming out. Like, it's still one of those games where I'm still not too clear what the hell I'm going to be doing in it, but I'm looking forward to it nonetheless. You know,
I'm interested to see their take on a more serious, realistic approach to it, like, just because Fallout has kind of a dark, tongue-in-cheek humor to it, to the absurdity of nuclear apocalypse, and then Skyrim it's not quite as tongue-in-cheek as Fallout, as there is still some humor.
It's super fantasy based. Yeah, that's the thing. It's very based in magic and fantasy.
Yes.
And this, like you said, this is a sci-fi game, but it's based very much in realism. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which was, like I said, it was a good thing because it was a different approach than what Outer Worlds was. Outer Worlds was basically Fallout in space. It was it had like some of that dark humor. Yeah. And this seems like no, they're going kind of full like Interstellar, like
that's actually a good example.
Like that.
Speaking of like that, the companion they showed off kind of gave me, like, it didn't give me Interstellar vibes, but it gave me definitely. Well, I'd say it actually did give me Interstellar vibe. Kind of gave me Interstellar vibes, or like old school. Old school. What was the other show again? The Lost in Space, but the older series. I like that though. It's like some people were complaining it doesn't have a face, but I was like, it's a robot. Who the hell says it has to have a face? You don't have to relate to it. You know what I mean?
Also, it's only one companion. There's going to be many more companions.
What's with humans slapping faces on everything? It's a robot. Yeah. Like, I never understood that. It's like, if we have the ability to create a robot, why would we just give it 2 arms and 2 legs, man? Give that thing 4 legs, 4 arms, a bazooka, put a kitchen in its belly. You know what I mean? Like, the limits are endless. But yeah, I do like that. He had a voice. It was just a very short cinematic they showed on the companion, but that's cool. I like the fact that Bethesda games are known, like a lot of them are known for companions. Well, like, yeah, they all, as far as I know, every Bethesda game, like every RPG that they've done has companions. Skyrim has companions, Fallout has companions.
Yeah, I remember Fallout 3 had companions, but it was very loose.
Yeah,
compared to, because it was like Vegas all controlled by
big.
Yeah. Fallout New Vegas is when they really upped.
They even had like a DLC for companions and stuff.
Also they had the the UI, they had the companion wheel to control your companion.
Yeah.
Because in the Fallout 3, you had companions, but there weren't that many, and then you controlled them with dialogue, which was a little, a little janky.
Mm.
But anyways, all right. Let's move on to the next thing. Halo. So Halo, the TV show, has not.
Soon, man.
It's coming out soon. Hasn't.
Man.
It's coming out on March 24th, which is actually
5
next
days.
week. Next week.
5 days from now, yeah.
Next Thursday, I believe, on Paramount Plus. But some media have gotten copies of it or screeners. I have not. But from what I've seen, it's kind of a mixed bag. From what people are saying, they're saying there's some parts of it that are good. That it's I know there's kind of been a lot of controversy this week about the showrunner saying like they didn't really pay attention to the game. So Halo fans were very upset. They said that they paid attention.
That is really unfortunate.
They said that they
that
paid,
is true.
or maybe the story of the game they didn't pay attention. Something about like they paid attention to the characters in the world, but then they wanted to do their own story. I know.
I can forgive that. Honestly, like I think characters. But I'm just that guy. I think characters are more important than story sometimes when it comes with like long-running game series or any kind of like long-running franchise. I think characters are more important to because it's like we know the story of Halo. If like people who have played Halo know the story of Halo. Like, wouldn't you rather like to see those characters in like maybe a different telling of it? I don't know. But then again, people want what they want, or they want a specific thing and they don't like change.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see. All right, the proof is in the
I'm one of those
pudding.
people because I don't like Cortana. I do not like their Cortana. I'm gonna have to get over that though.
Their defense of it is a little weird. They basically said, look, every Halo game, they have a different iteration of Cortana, and she changes. It's like, yes, but she doesn't change as drastically as you have changed her from the game to live action. Like the same essence of what Cortana looks like in all the games. It's pretty similar. Now jumping to what we see in the TV show, it's I mean they did recast and bring in the original voice actress, Jen Taylor. I'm not so sure.
Look, I've said it before, I'll say it 100 times. My biggest issue with it, and I actually do like who they casted. I just don't like the way that she looks. I don't mean the lady personally. I mean she's supposed to be an AI, but she looks like a real person.
Yeah.
It's just for me, it's immersion breaking when you're fighting aliens and your aliens are clearly CGI. Unless you have your alien CGI, unless your aliens look so super realistically real, like you can't have an AI in your watch look more real than the aliens you're fighting. It doesn't make sense. Like that's my biggest issue. Like that is my biggest issue with it. Like for sure, it's immersion breaking. I'm like, okay, so your freaking holographic AI looks more realistic than the aliens you're fighting. It doesn't make sense. Like I still think it's something that they could have saved by literally just putting a filter over her. Like they could have just put a filter over, kept everything exactly the same, and just put like a slight like holographic, but like more, or like I don't know, like just like to hide out, like to make her look less real.
Yes,
that would have made it would have worked better in my opinion.
Yeah. They did also drop a final official trailer too. I actually like this a lot more than the first one. Remember, I was not high. I was kind of disappointed in that first one.
Though.
This one, I think maybe because they focused on the characters and the world and more emotional. I mean, I know the first one was very visual effects heavy. I guess they wanted to capture people. And like I said, the visual effects to me are kind of a mixed bag. They just, you're not getting that, like, obviously because of, even though the budget is very high, they said around 10 million an episode, but you're not getting like obviously a movie quality budgeted visual effects. You're still getting very good effects, but what I'm saying is like, I don't know, for some reason, I guess I always had thought in my head, we're going to get a big budgeted, like, remember when
I was going to exactly actually
Neil
you say, because I was going to say the same thing, man. Yeah. When he wanted to do it, I was like,
he did the shorts.
He does sci-fi so well. He does. I don't know, but he also like his own stuff. Like people haven't been seeing what Oats Studios up to, which is his studio. It's called
Yeah.
Oats, and they do like short sci-fi, like very like short sci-fi films. Well, shorts. They're sci-fi shorts. I highly recommend people check them out. Like those look phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like if he did do the thing is if he did do this, it would have taken much longer to make. I can tell you that, but it would have come out so good, like
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah, he likes to blend, you know, the visual effects with some practical stuff. I just the effects in District 9 were amazing. That how long ago is that? Over
Exactly.
10 years ago.
I believe it was
They have a
2009 or
very
2010.
realistic look to them, where a lot of stuff in Halo looks very, very CG. And I remember when he had done those shorts, Halo shorts, and he made them very more realistic, very gritty, very grounded. This looks a little more very polished. I guess maybe that's my thing with it. My expectations are a little different. But I will say the second trailer definitely, I don't know if it won me over, but it definitely made my expectations be a little higher. Though, like I said, those comments though, like have gone around the web, and Halo fans are not happy about. Let me get the exact quote here.
I think I'll enjoy it seems like a solid B, like not a B plus or a B minus. It just seems like a solid B type move. Like like B type movie. It's a bad example, but still, like
No.
I don't think I'm gonna be blown away by the show, but I think I'll be like entertained, and I think I'll watch the whole thing. You know, like I'd put it at the same level as like some of the Disney Plus shows. I probably enjoyed as much as those. Like I don't love some of the Disney Plus shows, like with the Marvel stuff, but I like some of them. Like Loki was great. I enjoyed Loki, WandaVision. I didn't really enjoy the Captain America and Winter Soldier thing.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
So,
Winter Soldier thing.
Stephen Kane, I believe that's his name, of the showrunner. Yeah, Stephen Kane. He said,
I was like, Stephen King. I was like, what?
Kane.
I gotcha.
But in an interview, he says, we didn't look at the game. We didn't talk about the game. He said when meeting with 343 Industries, we didn't look at the game. We didn't talk about the game. We talked about the characters and the world. So I never felt limited by it being a game. So,
that does make sense, though. Like I said, I would rather that approach than like just not looking at. It's better than looking at it that way than not looking at it at all. You know what I mean? Which a lot of people do, especially when it comes to live actions. They glance at what it is and then do their own thing.
So though that quote was going around Twitter and people were not too happy about it. So, like I said, the first trailer kind of, you know, made my expectations lowered. They're raised a bit now, but I'm still like, okay, let's see what really happens with this show. And like it's we should do a review of it when it comes out. Do you have access to it when it comes out?
I do.
Okay. Paramount Plus.
Yeah, I definitely do actually. Thanks to the powers of VPN.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the next thing. We had talked about this before. We talked about it a lot, and we will still keep talking about it because
I think we'll talk about this 6 months from now, man.
Because I'm obsessed with this game. Elden Ring. So if it wasn't any clearer, the game had a huge launch. Obviously, From Software's biggest game. It is, let's see, the biggest game of 2022.
More than 12 million copies sold at this point.
Yeah. You know, on PlayStation, Horizon Forbidden West was still a bigger selling, but because Horizon Forbidden West is exclusive to the PlayStation platform, Elden Ring sold more, being on both PC and Xbox as well. 12 million copies and counting. It says it performed better than Forza Horizon 5, Halo Infinite, which makes sense. I mean, Halo Infinite and Forza Horizon 5. Well, actually, what it's saying is it's the second best launch in the last 12 months. Only Call of Duty Vanguard, which is so funny. These Call of Duty games that get like no buzz still sell. Like it's almost like people like literally hand over money, and then do they even play the game? Because like I don't hear anybody talking about Call of Duty Vanguard, but apparently it was the best selling game in the last 12 months. but performing better than Forza Horizon 5 and Halo Infinite makes sense. One, those being two exclusives on the Xbox platform and PC, and then two, having that Game Pass thing, that limits your sales, right? I mean, that's not the model they're going for anymore. They're not going for sales. They're going for subscriptions. So all in all, From Software's, it's not their first game, but it's their biggest game.
I will have to say, while we're talking about From Software, unfortunately, which I don't want to talk about it because I obviously biased because I love the freaking game, but reports did come out about people like not have like some reports had come out, like I don't know what it was. I think it was like people getting not paid good and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, is this because the game's popular and like the people working there are like, hey, this game blew up, we didn't expect that, we don't get paid enough. But it's like, no, these reports go back like way back, like years back, before Elden Ring even, you know what I mean? Which is always sad to see, but it's I also think that it's coming out now because that's just kind of what all the studios are doing right now. Like it's one of those things where it's the smartest thing to do, where if your other like workers, you know what I mean, if you're a video game developer and video game developers around the world are striking or whatever, it's good to join it if you're also being treated unfairly.
And we talked about it last week though, that they did get raises. No,
they did,
but I don't know.
Reports,
I don't know.
So things could be good now. Things could definitely be good now, but
or maybe they're not great, and maybe they're just better than before. Who knows? But
I believe it was like it seemed like it was quite a cutthroat company to work at. But I mean, it's a cutthroat game, maybe.
The video game industry is a cutthroat
that's
industry. True. The way that they treat their developers, their Q&A, like just everything.
They're treated almost as bad as animators. Animators are treated like trash.
Yeah.
Like I feel bad for animators, man. Like I really, like in the anime world specifically, like Japanese animators get paid trash. Wish they got paid more. That's sad.
Yeah.
Hey, it is a great game. The big patch just came out as well.
Yes, 1.03. Actually, 1.04 actually came out, but 1.40 really didn't have much. I think it was just some bug fixes, but 1.03 was huge. We're not going to talk about all of them, but they added NPC Jar Baron. They had new quest phases for some NPCs that like didn't seem to kind of.
I can't say that. I can never say those names.
Dialis,
Kenneth Height.
Gatekeeper Gostic.
Gatekeeper Gostock,
they did nerf certain things. They nerfed the Sword of Fire and Flame and
that thing was
whatever.
Overpowered, man.
I never got it.
I was about to get it before this patch, so that does.
I'm still gonna get it.
It's still a cool. It's still a good sword to use, especially. The issue is I have to now like pump my faith up. Like my intelligence was, because you have to have 24 faith and 24 intelligence. Exactly.
Okay, my intelligence is like 11 and my faith is like 9 or something. I put everything in my strength and dexterity, endurance,
bleed. Yeah, I was gonna say bleed is good. Dexterity bleed builds are pretty OP in this game. One of the biggest even though people aren't talking about it, people are talking about what got nerfed, what got buffed. The biggest change, in my opinion, and the biggest changes we're going to see moving forward is that Arcane wasn't scaling correctly on certain weapons and abilities. And I didn't even know that playing the game because I use very little arcane weapons.
Me too.
And if I do, they're like low level stuff, you know what I mean? So now supposedly like there are like new overpowered weapons in the game because Arcane, now they're actually getting scaled according to the Arcane. So the meta has changed, the way people play has changed. Some spells got nerfed in sense of like it costs more, some spells cost less. Like a lot of the spells I use, I woke up to, and they still do the same damage, but they cost less or some of them are like the same, but they shoot faster. And I was like, I literally woke up stronger from a patch. That's how I felt. Like it was the weirdest thing, man. Like I woke up, I played the game, and I was like, I'm stronger. I didn't do anything, but I'm stronger.
Yeah, they increased the damage for Gravity Well, Collapsing Stars, and Crystal Barrage. They decreased the FP consumption for a bunch of spells. Yeah. They basically raised a lot of sorcery. They felt like the sorcery and magic was underpowered.
Which is funny because people complain about like with PvP that they're overpowered technically. But that's just because of like the way some of the builds work. Like Well, some of the nerfs they nerfed the spells that were overpowered, and they buffed the ones that people weren't using or were too weak. Like they had a lot of spells that were point. Like when I was playing the game, I noticed that there was like two different spells. Like the one is supposed to be an upgraded
Mm-hmm.
version of the spell, and it's like they essentially the same. I was like, what the hell was the point of this spell if it's better to use the unupgraded, if it's the same as the unupgraded version? And they made the upgraded version now shoot faster, I think, or
Mm-hmm.
which makes more sense, and it actually makes it usable, or like, rather than it being a waste. So I like that the balance changed. Speedrunners are pissed, of course, but
Yes,
but
because
that's
the
bound to
Sword of Night
happen.
and Flames was something they were using to
Mm,
beat the game. They
yeah.
also nerfed the Mimic Tier Ash, which sucks because I just got
Mm.
it, and
It's
now
it's still good though, but
it's
it
still
has been
good.
nerfed.
But you know what the thing is I don't think they let him heal anymore. He doesn't drink health
Mm,
potions, so he just dies fairly quickly.
that makes sense. Yeah.
So I have used him, but because he dies so quickly, it's not as fun. Like
I
it.
still prefer to use and it took me forever to get him. Oleg. It took literally
Which
for I
one's
had to fight
Oleg?
this. I don't know if you got him, but like the starting area, like before you go into the open world,
Mm-hmm.
there's you pick up your very first stone sword thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's you can unlock an area there, and there's a whole dungeon right at the starting area
Yes.
of the map.
So I
It's
got
really difficult though.
I got the talisman from there. I did not actually go down and get
There's a boss
the
down
ashes.
there.
Yeah, I didn't find any boss. I just
Yeah,
went to get the in the
it was
secret
hell.
area. There's a is it the Erd Tree? I forgot
Yeah,
what it was.
I actually
Talisman.
didn't get that, so I'm glad you're telling me about that. I should go back and get that. I just went straight to the boss because
You have to
well,
jump
I
off a
did.
ledge, and it looks like you die, but you don't. There's like
Yeah, okay, I gotta look that up. I had no idea about that. I was like when I picked up the stone sword keys or whatever. I was like, oh, I remember there being like a thing I could use this on. So I went
mhm.
back, naturally found it. Took forever to figure out how to get around that death trap of a freaking machine.
Yeah.
Found found the boss, and it was literally the most difficult boss I'd fought at that time. Way more difficult than Margit. Way more
Hmm.
difficult than Godric, in my opinion, because it's a huge boss, but you're in a very small area. So there's very little room for you to like wiggle around, and it took me like a whole day just to like beat him. But then I got Oleg, which I believe he's the most expensive summon, but he's literally just a tank of a fucking knight.
That's
Like
why I use
he's
the
super tanky.
headless. I
Yeah,
forgot the name of her or his name, but the headless hunter because
yeah.
just he's a tank. The damage he does isn't that great, but he just doesn't. It takes a while for him to die, and I just need someone to distract. That's why I can't.
Same.
That's why I can't beat
Oleg's not
those.
that strong in my
That's why I
opinion,
can't
but he's
beat those.
beefy.
What are those called? The Evergold Knights. Like basically those seals that you go into. You can't do any. You can't summon any ashes. So you have to fight
Oh
these knights
yeah.
1-on-1, and I get my ass kicked because I have nothing distracting them. At least when I fight, like
Mm.
even like Radan, I finally beat Star Scourge. Raiden. Is it
Wait, did you
Radan or
beat
Radan?
Radan?
Huh?
Or some people call him Radan. I think it's
Radan.
Radan. I'm not too sure, but dude, I can't beat Radan. I can't. Like I
Oh really? I just didn't you.
my
I just.
summons die.
Oh,
But
I
I need to
just.
like summon all the other people too. I guess it's the second
I
phase
saw.
that like gets you, dude. And when he starts like summoning those freaking like meteors that come, it's insane. But to be fair, I just got to Radon. Like I did a bunch
Okay.
of other stuff first though, because
I tried my.
I think Radon's optional, which I didn't know.
Well,
Like I didn't know where he
he
was.
is, but I mean, if you really want to do, you have to do Ronnie's quest. You have to
Mm,
do it.
yeah.
I highly recommend doing it because you need. Yeah,
Yeah.
it
So I've only
opens up a
fought him
whole
like two or
other.
three times, but I've died.
I found
Um,
2 or 3 times and I died and I just stopped and I went to go level up some more, and then I
yeah.
came back and I won.
So
Also, I'm
yeah,
doing a
I need to
melee
do that.
build, so
Mm.
like I just get in there, man, and just like if I have summons or
Don't you
whatever.
feel bad for that horse? I mean, people who don't know what we're talking about
Yeah,
aren't gonna understand this,
that
but
horse
I
is
feel
funny.
bad for that horse, man. It's that you got this giant ass dude, and he's sitting on this horse, and this dude's fucking calf muscle is the size of the horse. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And this horse, the poor horse, is
Mm-hmm.
just doing his best job. Dude, the first time I fought Radon, though, I nearly shat my pants because of those like projectiles. I was like, what the fuck? I found out that the arrows he rains down from above is physical damage. So if you have 100% physical blocking shield, you can kind of get through it just by blocking with your shield. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
but yeah,
the horse is so vital in that.
It is. It really is.
You can't get it knocked off. I just beat the Draconic Tree Sentinel, which is a pain in the fucking ass. It took me like 20 plus times because he's a cheater. He's a damn cheater. Basically, what happens is he's actually not that hard to damage, but what happens at the very end, he starts doing lightning strikes, and once you get knocked off your horse, it's over for you because once you're off your horse, he just lightning strikes you while you're on the ground, and when you get up, there's no opportunity to heal. You just die. So
Do you feel like you're doing better? Do you feel like you're doing better in the game now? Like you've learned the timing of swings and stuff a bit better?
So
you see what I mean by like there's a delay though. It's almost like there's a wind up and then they attack.
So that's
like,
but I still okay. So some of the best weapons are these large either great swords or great weapons. I don't actually use them. So like Gardrick's axe and the great sword. They're too slow for me. I need that kind of. So I use
Katana,
the straight.
dexterity
I need the straight sword. So I was using the Lord Sworn great sword, but now I'm on to, or not great sword. I forgot what it's called. But anyways, I'm using the Bloodfang curved sword.
Nice.
Have you gotten that one?
No, I did get these daggers, these really cool daggers that inflict bleed.
Yeah.
But you need 13 arcane for them for some reason.
Yeah.
Those are really cool.
I have so many cool weapons I don't use. Like I have
Same.
I have Godrick's whatchamacallit?
His great axe, you said, yeah.
No.
I've got
his dragon fist.
I was gonna say,
and I can't use it because I don't have enough faith.
Oh. The thing is, I can use it, but I don't actually use it that often. It's not the most like usable thing. It's also because I'm a magician and melee is not like you got to get in there to punch him as well. Like besides, because there's also like when you shoot the flames, it doesn't shoot very far either. Things like that. I want to get into like the bestial magic, which is also cool. Like I found like out that you can like also with the dragon stuff, like you can learn dragon magic, bestial magic, all these interesting things. Like there's so much other, like the game's huge. Like in theory, if I wanted to just finish the base game, I could probably finish the base game in like a week from now, but there's so much other things to do, and you don't have to do them, but they're wonderful to find and explore and then do them that way. And my issue, and I think the reason why I haven't finished the game yet, is I keep starting over because I keep trying out different builds, and it's not out of frustration. Like I love it, man. I love starting a fresh character in this game for some reason. I love it. Like I love trying out different. Like now I actually have two characters that I go between. I have my main mage, which I'm probably going to finish the game with soon, who I think is level 63 or 67 now. But then I have another samurai that I'm playing as, which is just dexterity and just rolling it, just mainly dexterity and working on like bleed and stuff like that. So I'm switching between those two characters and playing as I see fit. Do you know what's funny? Is I still don't know what the hell the story's about, and I don't think I care. Like
no. If there's one weakness to the game, which is funny because it's George R. R. Martin that helped create this world, which the world itself is great. The lore, the world, cool, and the design, everything. It's just that there's no real main story. I mean, there is a main story, but it's very vague and whatever.
And it's in between you dying like 1,000 times, so you kind of forget about it. It's like you'll see a cutscene in lore, and you're like, oh my god, wow, and then it's like 10 hours of you dying, and you kind of you tend to forget what the hell happened.
It took me 50 hours, or maybe it was 40 hours, to realize what the runes actually do. Not the runes, the great rune. What it actually does.
Runes,
So I thought it was like, oh, you get it and then you just apply it and it works. It's like no, you apply it, but you have to use the rune arcs to actually activate the buffs. And that's because I was like, why do I keep getting these rune arcs? I thought like you just need one rune arc per great rune, and then you match them together and then you get those buffs forever. But that's not it. It's like no, they're but limited. At least the buffs keep going until you die, so it's not like that big a deal. So
I also had no idea as well, because I can't because you find them all. You keep finding them all over the map. You know what I mean? And some people sell them and stuff, and you're like, I wonder what the hell it's for.
Yeah. So,
oh man.
But anyways, there's so many things that happen in this game that like is just, it's amazing. Like I
It
said,
is.
I love
I
this
think I
game.
think it's I would say it's a genre defining game, or
Hmm.
even like game defining game, if you will. The only thing I can relate it to in terms of impact, and it hasn't played out that long yet, and maybe I am overhyping it. Maybe Alana Pierce is right and it is overhyped. I don't believe so, but I think that this
I don't
game
think
is
it's
going to be
overhyped.
talked about in 10 years. This is the new Skyrim. I
It
mean,
is.
it's not
I'll be
It's
honest with you. I
it's
like
not
this.
Skyrim,
I like this
but
more than Skyrim.
yeah.
I'll be honest with you.
Same. And
Um,
like I'm not saying it's the new Skyrim as in like it's that game. It's a whole different genre, but I'm saying in terms of cultural relevance, it is the new Skyrim,
the
you know?
exploration to me is better than Skyrim because
Mm.
Skyrim was a very large map and you can go to a lot of different places. But I'll be honest with you, it just kind of got repetitive, and I got where this is like when you
Towards
go to a
like
new
the
place,
midpoint,
there's
yeah.
new things to see,
Mhm.
new NPCs, and I know there are NPCs in Skyrim as well, but what I'm saying is like the vast craziness of what you can do.
Yeah.
The items that you get and what they do have much of a
Well,
bigger
the
effect.
combat's so severe. It's because of how different the people are as well. Like
Yes.
in Skyrim, once you're halfway through the game, it's like, okay, you see a dragon, you know what a dragon does. In
Yes.
this game, you could see something, you don't know what the hell it's gonna do.
No.
You could
You
walk
got
up
to
to a new creature, you have no idea what the hell it's gonna do. Is it friendly? Is it angry? Who knows? It's probably gonna kill you because that's the way the game works. But
Yes.
like, it's man, like this. I remember like going to this one area and I was like, oh, these are so cool. These like stone giants lying on the ground. There must have been some like war here or something.
Hmm.
And then they stood up and I was like, oh fuck. I was like, I gotta get out of here. These
Yeah.
like giant stone, and then there's one like shooting a giant arrow at me from the other side, and I was just I was not expecting it. Like the unexpected happens in this game all the time.
Yeah. It's
And that's what I like about
it's amazing. I don't think it's overhyped. I think this is my first
it. Yeah.
Souls game. The question I have is I don't know if I'll ever go back and play. As much as I love this game, I don't know if I'll
They're
ever go back
linear.
and.
It's
That's
so
the
different. You
thing
can't
is,
play a linear game after
yeah, in
this.
this game, it's like if I get stuck, which I get often stuck because I'm just. I'll be frank. I'm not that great of a player, right? Like I'm a okay gamer,
I
right?
think you will actually. I think you will actually play the older games in
Okay.
like a year or two from now. Like if like I feel like you're gonna play Elden Ring so much that at a certain point you're gonna master the combat and
The
get
the
hooked on the
the,
combat, and that's what's gonna make
the
you want to go back
two
to the
that
older
actually
games.
interest me the most actually aren't the actual Souls games. It's actually
Bloodborne. Bloodborne's a
Bloodborne
good one,
and
man.
Sekiro Dies Twice.
Yeah,
Like the
Sekiro's the easier
Sekiro.
one out of all of them, but Bloodborne's great, dude. I highly recommend
Those
Bloodborne.
two are the ones that appeal to me the most when I look at
Mm.
the whatever. Anyways, that's for another day. I still got probably another 40 hours that I need to go into this game, and
Yeah,
I think you and me can talk about this game forever, and we probably will once we do the thing.
easily,
But let's move
easily.
on to the next thing. Now, this next
Yeah,
thing is kind of disappointing. So remember we talked about this a lot that
yeah. Perfect
Microsoft
Dark.
when they were forming this what they call instead of AAA
Super
studio,
Studio.
quadruple A studio called the
Yeah, the
Initiative.
Super Studio.
They were pulling all these like big name leads from various large, highly acclaimed games, and they were forming this super studio. And the first game, I'll be honest with you, I was a little disappointed, not because I think Perfect Dark is a bad game, but just that I thought they were going to create an original IP. But the first game that they worked on is
Yeah.
Perfect Dark. Well, apparently, a lot of people have been leaving the team. So the game
Ooh.
director Dan Neuerberger has left. There's been reports that a lot of people that were on this team have been leaving because 34 people have quit the initiative in the last year because due to slow developmental progress. They feel
Oh God.
stifled, that it seems like everything is coming from the top down instead of things kind of, being more free. They feel stuck.
Lack of company culture as well. Like, which can be a
Yes.
thing as well. Like it's one of those things where like, look, if you're going into an office every single day and everybody there is just kind of sitting around going, what are we actually doing here?
Yeah.
Like I can see people bailing because yeah, or like lack what's the word I'm looking for? Like I don't want to say lack of vision, but that could be it as well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or lack of like maybe lack of leadership skills. It
That and
happens to a
just
lot of
yeah.
like it happens to companies when they upscale too quickly, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? or in a case like this, when you make a company out of thin air, like making like instead of making a studio and like grinding its way up to a AAA studio, it's like we're just gonna make out of thin air a quadruple A studio. You know, it's yeah, it's what it just seems like they should have taken a lot more steps before this. You know.
Yeah. But yeah, it's unfortunate to hear this. I hope they can right the ship. Yeah, just but we won't be seeing Perfect Dark for a long, long time, which is unfortunate because if you're spending this much money on a project in this new studio, which we were thinking maybe this new studio can rival some of the big dogs, you know. But if they're having this much trouble out the gate, it's not a good sign. But we'll see. We'll see. Keep our eye on that. So we won't be seeing that game for a long time. All right, next thing up, we've got Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Another trailer came out. It's coming out April 8th, which is fairly soon. Like I always mention, first one surprised me how much I liked it. I like this trailer. There was a poster that came out that was basically a homage to the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 box art.
I was gonna say, which is the best Sonic. Like it is literally like universally known that is the best Sonic game.
Yes, Golden
so will
Sonic.
This be the best Sonic
Golden
movie?
Sonic, collecting all the Chaos Emeralds and becoming Golden Sonic was like a.
Which Sonic was it that they brought in? Metal Sonic. Was that the third one or the fourth one?
Fourth one. Third one was Knuckles.
Yeah, Metal Sonic. Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. It's funny because they have this homage to Sonic the Hedgehog 2, but Knuckles is in this game, and Knuckles didn't come out until 3, and also Tails I don't think came out until 2. Yeah, and the whole co-op feature. So the first Sonic was Sonic by himself. There's no Tails, and you can play only by yourself. And then Sonic 2, to me,
that was when they put
my
Tails
favorite.
in,
Yes, Tails was in. Plus, you could play co-op. So someone else. I used to play the game with my sister, and she would play Tails, and I would play Sonic. And then you could become Golden Sonic if you got all the Chaos Emeralds, which was badass.
So I wonder if that might happen in the movie. They're just not going to show us.
It. Yeah, they're not showing it. Golden Sonic is coming out in this movie. I think that's how he beats Knuckles.
wonder if there's going to be. I wonder if there's going to be a Thanos reference when he gets all the Chaos Emeralds.
I don't know, but he is definitely going golden, and he's going to fight. That's how he's going to beat Knuckles.
There's going to be a Super Saiyan reference as well. I bet you. I didn't watch this trailer because I'm at the point where I don't want to see any more of this. I want to see the movie. You know what I mean? Like I feel like trailers always tend to give away like slightly too much plot lines that I like. You know, where I've like what I've seen like the first movie was great. You know what I mean? So I know I'm gonna like the second movie. I watched a couple trailers. I saw the Idris Elba trailer. You know, super happy that he's Knuckles as well. Like there's a lot of attitude to it. I'm really happy to see Jim Carrey acting batshit crazy again in a movie. It's always refreshing. It's like it's literally like we got 90s, early 2000s Jim Carrey back. I'm so happy about that.
It's Ace Ventura except for evil.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I love it, man. He looks like Dr. Robotnik now, like full on Dr. Robotnik.
And he's having fun with it, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, same.
All right, next up, Star Wars Eclipse, the one that Quantic Dream was working on that we saw the very, very cool trailer at the Game Awards this past year. Basically, there's rumors that it's going to be delayed, but it got refuted by them because they said they never had a release date, so how it's not possible.
How could it be delayed?
Anyways, based on speculation of when the announcement was, people were thinking, okay, obviously it's not going to come out in 2022, maybe not even 2023, but people were thinking 2024 for it. Apparently the rumors are that it's going to be pushed back even further than that. Yeah, they said 3 or 4 years away, so we're looking at 2026. 2025, 20 earliest.
It's not that it's not that bad. It's bad, but it's not that bad. I said that because this happens all the time. The Final Fantasy VII remake was, I think, originally supposed to come out, I think what was it, like 2017, and then it got pushed back to 2019, and then it only came out like 2020. Yeah, beginning of 2020. So like that like compared to when they announced it, like it took years.
I also think because we have other Star Wars games that are still coming out soon that will tide us over. We have Jedi Fallen Order 2 will probably come out before then, most likely.
Exactly.
I'm guessing that's going to come out probably in 2 years. That's my
I'm
guess.
so excited for that game as well. I hope they up the combat.
Yeah.
Like it's like I feel honestly, Dennis, I feel like if you go back to that game after playing Elden Ring, it's
Yeah.
gonna feel so easy to you.
Yeah,
It
probably.
really is.
Yeah, because I felt like Ghost of Tsushima was harder than Jedi Fallen Order, and then Elden
Oh,
Ring's
it was,
a lot
yeah.
harder than Ghost of Tsushima. So, you know, I think I'm just getting better, or at least more used to these style of games.
Probably both,
Yeah,
honestly. Probably
yeah.
both.
All right. Next up, we have Arcane.
Yeah. This makes complete sense.
Riot Games, who owns League of Legends, who created League of Legends, behind the awesome Arcane show. They bought a stake in the animation studio that created, which makes sense. It's a non-controlling
Yeah.
stake.
I thought they owned the studio.
Yeah,
which
so
is
did
hilarious.
So did
I
I.
really thought they owned the so like when I read this, I was like, wow, I thought they owned that studio. My bad.
But it makes perfect sense, dude. You don't want
Mhm.
them running off and working on some other thing. You're like, no,
Hell
no, no,
no,
no.
man.
We got a
I
hit
think
on
they
our
might even do a
hands.
Valorant. I think they might do a Valorant series in the future because
Possibly.
they've dropped a lot of Valorant music videos that are animated and like I don't know. Well, not anytime soon, but I feel like if Arcane ever had to end, they would jump to their next big IP, which is Valorant. And because
Makes
there's not
sense.
much lore there, they could make it like really intense, especially because it's involving like guns and warfare. You know, they could make it very like dramatic as well. I think.
Yeah. So that's some bit of news. Makes sense. Like I said, I thought they already owned that studio as well, but it makes sense to get some sort of
Well,
interest in
I know
there.
they like the animators, like some of the animators at that studio did I think they've either used that studio before for their previous character releases. Like whenever they release a new League of Legends character, it usually has an animation intro with it, and they're very high budget. Like they look like great animations. So I think they've used the same artists which were worked on Arcane, which makes sense.
Yeah. All right. My last piece of news before we jump to what you got is I don't know if I had sent this to you, but Plague Tale.
Oh, I was gonna say that's the only other bit of news I had as well.
Is being adapted or at least working on adaptation for TV series, which makes total sense. I have not played the game yet, but every
played a
time I
bit of the
watch the
first one.
trailers, I get excited because
Well, the game looks like a TV show.
Yeah,
Or a movie, to
exactly.
be honest.
It's
You know?
very cinematic. It's very narrative driven. It just
And
seems
like
like it's well suited
CGI
for it.
wise, yeah, and CGI wise, it's not like super expensive and difficult to
No.
do swarms of rats. You
Yeah.
know, like I mean, it's not going to be easy, but it's not going to be expensive. You know, that's what I'm thinking. So I think it's going to look good, especially because Plague Tale is very dark, and the thing with darkness is that you can hide a lot, or it's
Yeah.
easier. You know what I mean? It's like you can do bad CGI and cover it up by making it darker and dimming. You know what I mean? Dimming it and stuff. So I think it's gonna look very good. I think it's gonna give people the creeps. Certain points it should, because like if you see a swarm of rats, like it's not a fun feeling. I think I'm actually gonna enjoy that more than the game. I found the game a bit boring, but I found
Is
the
it
story
too repetitive?
interesting.
I haven't played it.
I think like for me the gameplay lacked depth.
Yeah.
I only played a bit of the first one, but as I was playing it, I was like, I got the feeling that I was like, I'd much rather watch a YouTuber or a streamer play this. Like, I think I'd enjoy that more. I get that feeling. I very rarely get that feeling with games. But yeah.
All right. Yeah. So that's an interesting note. I'm gonna watch out for. I like the tone of it. I like the look of it. So, so you don't have anything else on there?
Nope.
All right. Cool. I guess that's it. You know, I'm probably gonna watch some UFC and then go and play some more Elden Ring because that game.
Oh, I'm gonna go and watch Turning Red.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I've seen it. It's very good.
I read your review. It's actually the reason I'm gonna watch it. I'm looking
Nice.
for. I'm also want to understand why the hell everyone's like, oh, it's inappropriate for children.
It's
I'm like,
not
but
inappropriate
it's
for
about
children.
puberty. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
You know what the. I just don't understand how it could be. So I can't wait to watch the movie and then laugh at all the people that think it's inappropriate.
Yes.
And or with knowledge as to why or how.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the movie. There's like from the trailers I saw that like there's like one goofy white kid in it that I'm like, oh, that's me as a kid, you know. Yeah, it looks good though. Looking forward to
Nice.
that. And then I'm probably gonna play Elden Ring until
Yeah.
5 in the morning as well.
Makes sense. Let me know. I just got to the royal capital city or whatever. Like I prefer I was on the outskirts. There's something, real quick to note is what I love about the game is in terms of exploration is it looks like a lot of places you go to and you're like, oh, okay, I got to go this way and I'll go get in, and it's blocked. And you've got to find another way how to get there. There's always a different way to get somewhere else. Sometimes it looks impossible. Like, how did you get there? It's like, no. You've got to do this, this, and this. Then you get in. You've got to think about how to.
And you can even avoid it entirely, like Godric's and Margit Castle. Like the Godric and Margit fight, technically you can completely go around.
Yep.
Which would be dumb because then you don't actually ever meet Rogier or complete. Yeah. Like you have to go into the castle if you want to upgrade your ashes of your summons and stuff like that.
But anyways, I went past it before just to look around.
I went same. I did that just to go get better loot on the other side. You know what I mean?
But then eventually I came back and finished or whatever. So I am on. I guess I need to go to the Royal City, and I'm gonna fight main boss 5 out of 12. So
nice. I'm trying to get towards the Volcano Manor. I think is what it's called or something.
I went there. I got the invitation.
Yeah. I want to get some. There's a grinding spot I need to get to because there's a certain sword I want because it's the best sword that scales with intelligence. Like your intelligence stat is the damage for the sword, and because I'm a mage, that's the thing that would make most sense for me. But it's like randomly dropped by one of the like characters, so I just have to grind. Like it's not a boss or anything. I just have to literally like loot until I get the guy, or kill the guy over and over again until he drops the sword that I need.
Yeah, I definitely recommend beating Radahn, just because it opens up a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So. And his armor's cool because you can buy his armor.
His armor is cool.
After you beat him,
is cool. Yeah.
You buy his armor. It's pretty cool.
I do like that. Yeah.
So, all right, guys, that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching or listening. Make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/Revog, or our podcast feed. Subscribe to that, or we have this podcast every single week. That's on Spotify or Anchor.fm. You can follow me on Twitter @ThinkHero, Instagram Dennis.tzng. Josh, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitch @itsthespis. Link in the description below, or my name, one of the two. And you guys can find me on the Revog Discord channel, where I'm more than happy to talk about games whenever.
Yeah, and go to the Discord, talk about Elden Ring in the comments below. Talk about Elden Ring because me and Josh are obsessed.
Yeah, I will reply to any Elden Ring comment.
Yeah. All right, guys. Until next time, see you guys later.
All right. Later.